Hi, I'm Nancy with Icon Apprentice, and thanks for joining me as we paint St. Francis. Let's begin with the prayers that we will write into our icon. So we're getting started. We're going to yellow ochre or yellow oxide on our board. Really and truly, just pour it straight on there. And then I'm just using a sponge to get this laid down. Usually I'll use a foam applicator. Today I just happen to have a sponge handy. That's what I'm going to use. Hopefully we'll get some good coverage. I don't want to leave any white spots, but all right, so what I want to do is I want to kind of experiment this time, and I'm gonna do this a little bit different. I've got my board. This is a stretched canvas, and what I want to do is I'm going to experiment just a little bit with how I'm laying down the background. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to lay my paint down. My foam applicator's damp. So we'll let this dry. And then what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to do a very light wash of olive green. And once that light wash of olive green is dry, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to sponge with some Naples yellow hue. And then once that's completed, then I'm going to put my line drawing on. Now, The other board that I've done, I'm actually going to leave it in this yellow ochre, apply my line drawing, and then decide what I want to do with the border later on. So that's going to be a major difference in what we're doing here. So you'll need a cork-backed ruler and a pencil because we're going to put in border lines. And we're going to do 1 inch at the top and the bottom. And then we're going to do 3/4 of an inch on either side. And I believe that our line drawing, I think that's going to be just about perfect for that. Because there's going to be some space, if you look at the color reference copy, you can see there's kind of a little border right here, right next to his shoulders, but it's a suggested line. And I think this is because the panel this was written on was a panel that had a contoured surface. So it appears that there's a line. We won't put that line in, but we are going to have this space between the inner portion of our icon where the figure and the robe is and where our outer border is going to be. Our outer border will be 1/4 of an inch, and that is either going to be Indian red oxide, or we can do Prussian blue, and we can decide that later. But we'll go ahead and draw in our borders. So I have my border in, and I've centered my line drawing between the borders, and I'm going to tape it down. And we'll get our transfer paper out. Put that under our line drawing. Remember, it's the dull side down, shiny side up. If you're not sure, go back and check after a couple of lines. You are going to want your red pencil, and keep a pencil sharpener handy. I like to use just the little manual one. It gets a really nice sharp edge. And you'll want to periodically sharpen that pencil just to keep a nice sharp tip going so that you get some nice lines. And we can go ahead and start transferring then. What I'll do is I'm going to transfer this line, and I'm just going to check, and it's transferring, so we're good. line drawings on. Don't forget to mark your halo point before you take the board for the drawing off. Let me just pull that back out here so you can see. I marked, there's a halo mark on your line drawing, and that'll be, should be able to see that. You just press the tip of the compass and make a little hole in your board, and then you come in and draw your halo with the compass. Decided it. I am doing an antique green on the board around the outline. I made it fairly watery, and then I'm coming in here as fast as I can and laying some of this down, and then I'm going back in and I'm taking my sponge and I'm just pulling that up, just pulling it up. Trying not to get into the picture itself there. All right. Come back in. Like I said, this is fairly loose antique green that I'm laying in here. I'm trying to go as quickly as I can because I don't want this antique green to really dry before I come in and sponge it. And I am going over those borders because I think the border's just going to be kind of a just a guideline for us. We're not really going to put a lot of color in there. Okay, grab that sponge, come in here, let's start lifting that off. Get a clean area so I can, and the sponge is damp. And I'm kind of lifting a good amount of that blue off because I really would like for that yellow to show through. So I'm coming in and I'm really kind of pulling a lot of that antique green off. I'm going to clean my sponge out just a little bit. I got that sponge a little damp And I'm kind of going back over that and pulling a little more of that antique green up. Because I really like the yellow showing through, so all right. I hope you could get a sense for how this looks and the color. If I can raise it up enough for you to really get a nice sense of what that color looks like. I hope you can see that. It's really beautiful. I really like that. All right. So I've decided that we're going to put Naples yellow hue, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a very watery consistency. I hope you can see just how watery that paint is. And what I'm going to do is I will apply it in small areas, and then I'm going to sponge it off. And I'm going to do that inside. We have this border. I'm going to leave this nice mottled color on the outside, and then I'm going to put this Naples yellow hue on the inside, but we're going to sponge it off, and I'm just going to do it inside the border here on the background. And again, I'm trying to apply it rather quickly, trying to stay inside the borders here. Don't get it in the, try not to get it in the halo, try not to get it in the robe area. And again, I'm going to try to do it as quick as I can. And I'm not too worried about brush strokes because I'm going to sponge this out. All right, let's take the sponges damp. Try not to come out in this outer border if I can help it. Okay. Now I got a little bit in that outer border. I'm going to just take a brush, a damp brush. Remember, you always want to have something available. And I'm going to take that out of there because I want to keep this outer border out here. And then inside the halo, I got a tiny bit in there. I'm going to pull that out. Okay. And I think I like that. I think I took too much of this out. Just going to apply a tiny bit again. There we go. I like that better. Okay. All right, so let's try this with the other side then. we'll see how we like that. I think I'm going to like it like that. Just an interior border that we didn't have. Okay. I need to walk away. Sometimes that happens. You just have to say, okay, I'm done and I'm out of here. All right, so before I put my line drawing down, I'm going to sponge this with Naples yellow hue, and I'm going to sponge it all over. So let's just jump in and see what we like. See if we like this. So I'm thinking that's good. Just take some of those little darker areas out, just lighten them just a tiny bit. Okay, I think we're done with that. We're going to let that dry. Once that's dry, we'll put our line drawing on, and then we can start laying down some colors on the robe, the book, and the flesh, and start his halo.